Hey everybody, it's Brooke with Mrs. Cog Hill Farm. And as I was headed out the milk room with the camera, I couldn't help but stop right here to let y'all see these beautiful cats that are absolutely loving the hay bales. I'm sorry, buddy. Scared you a little bit, didn't I? The hay bales being stored in here. I think y'all wish this was a year-round storage for hay, and you'd probably like it even better if we stacked them up a little higher. We'll have to see about that. If we have to buy some more after we've added Tater to our mix of animals. Uh-oh, got some goats hollering. I want to show y'all before I go out there where the goats are how much hay the three bovine have consumed since my last video. And this is just, let's see, oh my goodness, I don't know, 5-6 days worth of hay. You can see that they have done a number on that hay bale. Tater hears me talking and she's gonna come over here. How are y'all, Jessie and Honey? Y'all haven't put a dent in your hay bale compared to what the neighbors have. Y'all are probably still eating a lot of grass. It's not actively growing, but there is still some grass, so I'm sure the cows are out there grazing right now. You can see Big Moody over here to the right. He's laying down, just chewing his cud and enjoying his life. Mildred out there back in the back, and Tater headed up here thinking she might get a scoop of feed or something extra. Well, where I'm headed is over here where my baby goats are, and mama goats and all the other goats. If y'all remember, back on October, let me get my notes out. I stuck it in my pocket, so I didn't want to get any dates wrong. I say I stuck it in my pocket, and now I can't find it. That's how things go around here. Maybe I'm gonna have to work off memory. Yeah, I thought I stuck it in my pocket. Anyway, if y'all remember, October the 27th. That was a special day because Miss Paris over here was put into the pasture with Mr. Moe, who was our other buck. Now, Paris's daddy was Joe. So one reason we ended up adding Moe to our herd was so this beautiful lady back here, who I'm loving on in the midst of all the other ones, could potentially carry on her beautifulness. I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. I mean, she's just, to me, she's the prettiest goat in the herd, and I think you guys mostly agree with that. I got one hit me in the backside, Bootsy. Goodness gracious. I'm not a scratching post. So, October 27th, put in with Moe, and Nubian does go into their heat cycle on average of every 21 days. Now, that would be 17 to 24 days, taking an average of 21 days. Today is correct me, Jessie. Today is November the 20th, and that is day 24 for Miss Paris, and she hasn't gone into heat. So you know what this is telling me? I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that Paris is going to have a baby, at least one. Now her mama is Fifi, back over here. She sees Biscuit, and Fifi and Capri have always been a little bit weary of cats, but her mama had twins her first pregnancy. Paris was one of those, and Paris had a brother. His name was Rabbit. And we had a family reach out to us when Rabbit was just born, and they needed a buck. So they were going to keep Rabbit intact, and told us all about their herd and what their plans were. And we let Rabbit go and live with that family. So while y'all don't remember Rabbit growing up here, she did have a brother, and Fifi had 2 babies at her first pregnancy. So not to say that Paris will follow suit, but it's a possibility. Now, Nubians are a bigger breed of goats. Bootsy, who's behind me, and Bootsy has had babies before, believe it or not. Also, Bo Peep had a baby. So this is little Laura, and y'all see these little things that hang down on Laura? Those are called wattles, and they really don't serve any purpose in a goat, except for being, to me, they're super cute. Paris has those too. Can y'all see it? Look up under Paris's chin, hanging down. Laura and Paris are sisters from another litter. They have the same mister, meaning daddy. And then Fifi, come here, girl. Where you going? I want to show your beautiful little wattles that you have. Okay, Fifi doesn't want to cooperate, so I'll turn the camera around. But you can see Fifi has them too. Just those 2 little pieces of skin that hang down, kind of like little tags. Trait passed on in females only, so we found. Because Paris's brother, Rabbit, he didn't have them. Curtis and Red, who were part of the triplets that were born this year, along with Laura, they don't have them. So that kind of tells me it's a female gene that's passed on, and you know, I kind of feel like it's pretty good chance if Paris were to give birth and have a little girl, that female would have wattles. Right, girl? What you think? I have found that when our does are bred, they're much friendlier. I mean, I've told y'all before that Paris is the least friendly goat on this farm, besides Bo Peep. Bo Peep's, she's about the same as Paris. Honey, we're not talking about donkeys today. We're talking about goats. But here's Paris today, and she's letting me touch her, and she's not acting super skittish. She's just I don't know. I don't know why that is. Honey's got a little scratch on her nose. Y'all probably have noticed. We've been putting some antibiotic ointment on it, and I'm sure she'll be healed up in no time. Not sure what she did there, but Tip over here, Tip's a weather, which means he's been fixed. But Bo Peep is in heat right now, and we know that because she has been very vocal. Not only that, Tip has been showing her a whole lot of interest. Even though he's fixed, he still has hormones that, well, they don't make him smell like a buck, but he acts like a buck sometimes. He does his little, he does his lip and indicates that he's interested, but you know, of course he can't produce any babies. So he always runs Topper off when either Bootsy or Bo Peep come into heat. He runs them off. He tries to act like he's the man around here. However, Topper is still intact, and for whatever reason, Topper cannot. Well, that was crazy. Jessie decided she was going to run Bo Peep off. Why'd you do that, Jessie? Because I'm talking about goats today and not donkeys? Is that why you ran her off? That's not your normal behavior. Maybe it's because Bo Peep's in heat. I don't know. But Topper, he's intact. He's not a wether. He still has all of his man parts. He's produced babies in the past with both Bootsy and Bo Peep. So he's been a daddy before. But we don't know what happened. He just lost it. And it's good for him because he's a little guy. And when he used to be in with Joe, he was the lowest man on the totem pole. And we didn't like to see him getting, you know, he wasn't getting beat up, but he was not the dominant goat. Somebody's got my shirt. Bo Peep. And so him being able to come over here and live with the girls, I've seen him physically mate with Bootsy. So I know for a fact that he just doesn't have, he can do the deed, but he can't produce children for whatever reason. Or kids, I should say. Kids in your case, buddy, right? So Topper has lost his ability to reproduce. However, he can still go through the motions. And it's a good thing because Topper's such a sweet guy. I mean, we want him to have the best life he could possibly have. And I think the girls are the answer for that. If he was in with Mo and Joe, he'd be constantly having to deal with their shenanigans, and they never act right, do they, buddy? No, they're always stinky, and you don't stink. I mean, you don't have any scent to you whatsoever. You don't have any signs that you have, you know, tried to entertain any females. Nothing. You're just beautiful. Yep, just beautiful. I'm waiting on you to say something. Honey, you're gonna get your turn, baby. So I want y'all to kind of get a look at Paris and see that she has put on a little bit of weight. Of course, it's approaching winter time, and goats tend to be at their largest during that time. They eat a little bit more, providing they have it, meaning, well, hay and grass if it's available. But she's a big girl. She is a wide load, and I'm just feeling pretty confident that Miss Paris is going to have at least one baby. Now, I looked at my calendar, and we could have baby Paris as early as March the 15th and as late as April the 6th, I think it was. So somewhere around there. But providing she hasn't gone into heat, I think it's safe to say that she's going to have a baby. Now, there is a test that you can test a goat's urine, and it's 95% accurate to show if they're bred or not. It tests hormones, and you collect their urine. And I did purchase one of those tests, but you need to wait at least 45 days before you do that. So we're not at that 45-day mark yet. November the 27th, there'll be 30 days. So on into December, January, just for fun, even though I'll know if she doesn't go back into heat, we're gonna do that urine test and just see what the results say. And I have it on hand, but like I said, no point in doing it right now if it says not to even attempt it until day 45. And I'll also tell y'all where I purchased it if any of you guys are interested at that time. So we had a little event locally this past weekend, and it was just for the community. It was a Christmas event, and guess who came? The two little girls, the two sisters, who we have promised Paris's babies to. Emma and Ella are just two adorable little girls. I told you guys they live about an hour from us, and they came to the event, and I gave them the address to our house because the event was not very far from our house, and I knew that the way they were coming, they were probably going to drive by it anyway. So I gave them the address and told them to feel free to pull into the driveway, and we have a gate. The gate's closed, but you know, you might catch a glimpse of some of the goats and Moody and who knows, Peaches maybe. And they did, and y'all, those girls were so excited because they said that they yelled Paris's name and she looked up. So yes, I'm super excited that they got to come by the farm, and of course I do want them to come and visit before Paris gives birth, providing we're certain that she's bred. And they're not very far away at all. So that's a good thing, and those girls are super excited. So that makes me excited to know that this is the first time for them to have a new animal and something that they have desired for a very long time. So speaking of new animals, you probably all know that we have a new animal, and it's a miniature pony. Her name is Pocket. She goes by Pookie or Pook. And y'all, she's fitting in exceptionally well here. We haven't introduced her to the animals in the same enclosure with them yet, but I feel like this is going to really work out for her. Now, her previous owners told us that they want the best for Pocket, regardless of what's in their heart as to not wanting to part with her because she's been with them for 18.5 years. They want what's best for her, and they have been trying to find her the correct home for the last 8 years. So they just feel like this happened for a reason, that they were sent to us. When they contacted me for the first time, they sent an email, and Jason told me that somebody had sent an email about rehoming a miniature pony, and Jason sent them an email back and gave them my phone number, and I told them I wanted to talk to them. Well, they thought that I was going to help them find a home for Pocket. They had no idea that there was a possibility that we might be the new home for Miss Pocket. And they're wonderful, wonderful ladies, a mother and daughter duo, and it's got to be mighty hard on them to have came to the decision, first of all, that they wanted what was best for the horse, because as humans we're selfish and we do what fits us best in most situations. But they were not looking out for themselves, because obviously what was best for them was to have her in their yard like she had been for the past 18.5 years. So I really say hats off to them for allowing Pocket to possibly have a new life, and that involves friends and her own herd and grass. That was one thing they were lacking. They didn't have a pasture. Pocket had worn down all the grass in the backyard, so there was no no grass there for her needs, which is pretty much a must when you have equine. But yeah, she's fitting in really good, and we are letting her out on the grass, supervised still, small amounts at a time. It's really not enough grass here that could cause her any issues, and this is per Dr. D, who is our veterinarian as well as Pocket's previous veterinarian. He thinks this is perfect timing to add her to our pasture, because grass isn't actively growing, and horses that are prone to colic are prone to do that when new lush green comes in and they eat too much of it at one time. But you can see her right here where she is pulling up the grass. It's literally, it's not much. It's just a little bit, isn't it, Pocket? So perfect time of the year, and I mean, they just reached out to us within the past couple of months here. So yeah, they've needed some time to get some things together and to accept their decision, and November was the perfect month. So while we haven't had a hard freeze, the grass is just about done its thing, and it'll start turning brown here after the first freeze, and she will not have a problem being out here all the time. Of course, she might nibble like she's doing now, but the nutritional value of it will be gone, and we'll start, adding hay to her diet gradually, because the previous owners also had a hay allergy, so she was given alfalfa pellets and Timothy pellets in her diet to get her forage in. Gonna go visit Miss Peaches. Peaches, she really likes Pocket. I mean, it's not like they're lovey-dovey or anything, but we really didn't know how Peaches would react around a new animal. It's just hasn't been, she hasn't had an addition besides Honey and Jessie that wasn't born here, meaning the baby goats. And she's done well with everything, but you just never know how an animal's going to react when you bring something new in. You ready to go back in your stall, girl? Come on, you follow me. Good girl. Good girl. Let's go see what Miss Peaches is doing. All right, Peaches, what you think about having a new pasture mate? If that's what you want to call her. Pocket's a pretty good girl, isn't she? She doesn't get in your way too much, and you don't get in her way too much. I think y'all are perfect match for each other, especially since you indicated that you wanted to live on this side of the barn. And here they are. I mean, you can see they just, they get along fine. So I got to show y'all something and see if you guys have this same problem from time to time. I do not like to go grocery shopping and go up and down the aisles. It's just easier for me to add my things to a pickup throughout the week, and then whenever I find time to do that pickup, then I check out my cart and I go get my groceries that I've added throughout the week. And they don't actually pick the merchandise until you pick it up that day. But the downside to doing that is I also like to pick out my own things that have expiration dates, because not always do they check the expiration dates. Now, if I get something and it's already expired, I reach out to them and I get a refund. But there's times like this when Marycarl loves these little, Biscuit, these little cheesecakes. Dee Dee, this is the cat's room, not yours. Oh my goodness, y'all. So I usually just get a couple of pieces of cheesecake, but they were out of the 2-pack. So I bought the whole cheesecake. It wasn't but a couple of dollars more. But when I got it, the expiration date was 3 days after I bought it. So it expires today, the 20th. But I'm going to try something. I'm going to freeze that cheesecake. And tonight, when I come to put the animals up, it should be frozen enough for me to cut it into little tiny squares and stick it in my freeze dryer. Now, I have never tried freeze-dried cheesecake, but I have heard that it is fantastic. So there's only one way to find out, because if I didn't do something with that cheesecake, it was going to, it was going to go in the garbage, because I don't want to feed my dogs that. It's not good for them I know it's not good for us either, but Marycarl enjoys it in moderation, a slice or two every week, every 2 weeks, and that to me is fine. But I'm not going to feed it to my animals, so therefore it would go in the trash. And Jason and I we don't eat sweets like that. But we are going to try the cheesecake bites. When it gets frozen, I think it'll be easier to cut and put on the trays. Pop it in here, y'all. And I can't wait to see what it turns out like. Bad part is I'm going to have to wait on it. It's going to be almost instant for y'all. So, yeah, got it in the freezer, waiting on it to get solid enough to where I can cut it into squares. And we're going to see what this turns out to be like. Let's see if Pocket will do her trick. All right. And I'm not sure I have the camera skills to do it. Kisses? Kisses? Oh, goodness. Isn't she sweet, y'all? I mean, she just has my heart. So, I'm going to show you guys when it's dinner time for her this evening. And hopefully the cheesecake will be frozen pretty solid by then. All right, y'all. So I told you I'd come back this evening and feed Pocket, and we would see if the cheesecake is pre-frozen, and pop it in the freeze dryer. So I think Pocket knows it's time to eat. She's waiting on her food to be fixed, and Miss Peaches is over here in the corner sacked out waiting for tomorrow morning when she'll get her next meal. And I told you guys that I'm trying to keep everything the same as the previous owners feed-wise, because we don't want any interruptions, and we want to do things as close to the way they did as possible. And y'all, she eats a very good diet. And I'm just going to get it mixed up here and wetted down, which is what she did to make it palatable. Pocket, I see you peeking. I don't know if y'all can see her or not, but there she is right there. We got to get your food soaked, girl. I'll be right back. So just like Peach's food, I'm getting the water warm, and we're just going to add about double water to the amount of food that's there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my freeze dryer turned on so that way it can be pre-chilling while Pocket's food soaks. So wait 15 minutes before putting the food in. This should work out perfectly because I still have to cut up the cheesecake. Another thing that she did was she made these little packets of herbs, which is what she puts on the top of Pocket's food every day. They have different purposes. A lot of them have to do with her gut health, and I have been using these little packets to sprinkle it on the top of her food. And when she runs out of what the owner has pre-prepared, I will mix them up and continue that process, because she does believe it's an important part of Pocket's diet. Now it's dark, but I do have a little bit of a light out here, enough where Pocket can definitely see her food. So let's see if I can't show you guys how she'll stand back and wait on her food. All right, Pocket, come here, baby. Pocket, come here, baby. Look, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. All right, wait. 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 Stay. Good girl. Wait. Good girl. Wait. All right, let's get your herbs put on. Good girl. That was a very loud truck. I don't know if y'all could see that or not, but she does very good when it's time to eat, standing back and letting me put it in her bucket. So I do apologize for this being so dark. This camera is not meant for nighttime use, but she has ample light to eat because there are lights out here and you can see. Now one other thing that we have done, previous owner thinks that she has limited vision, especially at night. She is getting older, and they supplied her with a nightlight. So while I am going to pick up a nightlight, I have what I feel like is the next best thing. And after we get our cheesecake prepared, I'll show you what that is while Pocket's eating. All right, so here's the cheesecake that I stuck in the freezer. The main reason I did that is so it would cut easily. I just know that when you cut a slice out of here, it just tends to want to crumble. So I felt like it would be easier to cut if I froze it. So we're going to find out. Now I'm not so sure what the best way to do this is. I want it in small pieces, probably like an inch square, I would think. And this is, again, an experiment. So we're going to learn as we go with this. I'm thinking about like that'll be perfect. I locked the cats out of here and they are about to have a fit. But I knew if I didn't, I usually don't prepare food in here. I usually bring it pre-prepared. But since it was in the freezer here in the barn, I just decided to bring my tray over here. Okay, I got them all cut up and I'm using 2 trays. So what I've learned in the past from other freeze drying people is that if you're not using a full machine, if you're only using a couple of trays, leave the top and the bottom empty and place your trays that you're utilizing towards the center shelves. I don't know why. It's something about it freeze dries better that way. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, we're gonna lock the door, mash continue, and voila. Now let's go check on Miss Pocket and see if she's finished eating. I must tell y'all, she is very slow when it comes to eating. So I just let her take her time and, well, let's just go see. Pocket, you still eating, baby? I hear you. You got a lot left? Huh? Let's see. Let me shine my flashlight and see what you got left in there, baby. Oh, you getting on down there. Yes, you are. You getting on down to the bottom of your bucket. Yeah. Loves, loves, loves her food. We have some animals that are very food motivated, and some that could just care less. But Pocket seems to be one that loves her food. So Pocket is finishing up her eating, and I'm on my way out of the barn, and I wanted to show y'all my temporary night light until I get something that I feel is comparable for her to use inside without leaving the big lights on. I mean, it's obviously very bright in here when the inside lights are on. She doesn't need that. She just needs something in case she wants to walk around to know where the walls are. And I had this old lamp right here. It was like a stand type lamp, and it's got an LED bulb in it. So I'm just leaving that on for Pocket, and I'll show y'all when the barn lights are off, it allows that side of the barn, which is where her stall is and Peach's stall is, to stay lit. See there? Voila. It's just enough light, I think, where she can see, and that's all I'm asking for. All right, Pocket, I got your lamp on the inside so you can see when you get ready to go inside, and I'll be here bright and early in the morning to give you your breakfast, and I hope you and Peaches have a excellent night, and we'll see y'all in the morning. Well, y'all, I told you some rain was coming, and it is here, but we are here in the milk room where it's dry and the candy's done. So
Candy.
well, I said candy. You know what I mean. You know what I'm doing, don't you?
Cake. Yeah, I know what you're doing.
All right, open that drain valve for me. So, Jason,
Yes.
this is something that I've read about, and if it's as good as what I've read it is, we might be in a bit of trouble. Look at that! Well, you can't wait, can you?
Mm-mm. Listen to the cheesecake. Listen to it.
I bet it's going to be like that on our teeth, too. What you think?
That's good.
Is that your favorite thing so far?
That has a lot milder flavor than I anticipated.
The strawberry flavor is pretty intense. It's really good, though, isn't it?
That is good.
I don't think Marycarl's going to be disappointed in the fact that her cheesecake didn't last as long as she wanted it to. It's good, isn't it?
It's not. I thought it was going to be extremely sweet, but it's not. It's delicious. It's just right.
That's perfection.
I'm trying to think. Do I like the grapes better than this?
Well,
I don't know. It's pretty close.
this is good.
This is really good.
Really good. And, you know, had I not had it sitting in the refrigerator about to expire, I wouldn't have done this. And that just goes to show you anything that you have left over, you can just throw it in the freeze dryer instead of putting it in the freezer, and it lasts as indefinitely. I mean, pretty much 25 years in a sealed bag. You have leftover spaghetti, and you've eaten it for 2 nights, and you don't want it anymore. Throw it in the freeze dryer.
That is good.
So one reason I'm doing all the back-to-back freeze drying experiments is because November, the entire month, is a Harvest Right Black Friday sale. You gotta save her some.
I know. I was gonna say it has the consistency of like a real thick graham cracker. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
It's not like the styrofoam or the Lucky Charms marshmallow. It's a little different than that.
It is. It's. I mean,
I think it's denser than
I
that.
taste the graham cracker, but it also almost tastes like a pudding when it gets, you know, dissolved in your mouth. It's like a pudding texture, I guess you would say.
It's really good.
So cheesecake squares for the win, and we didn't waste anything.
Marycarl's gonna like that. You could put that in ice cream.
You could do.
You could put that in a glass of milk.
Possibilities are endless, right?
Really are.
All right, so I'm gonna keep doing freeze drying experiments. I hope you guys enjoy them, and hope you enjoyed the video.
I enjoy them.
You enjoying them? Okay.
Except that yogurt.
Except the yogurt. I've read some other people say that the Greek yogurt doesn't freeze dry well.
It freeze dried well. It just didn't taste worth the flip. Yeah.
Well, anyway, one more for me, okay? This one's got a lot of crust on it.
I'm done.
All right. So y'all don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe while I'm talking with my mouth full. And y'all be good.